Hi, second graders. I hope you guys are doing well. I miss you a bunch. I am doing our week 3 distance learning packets today. So as always, I will hold the paper up like this so that you can see the page that I am talking about. You can follow along and pause after the directions to do your work, or you can fast forward and rewind to get just the page that you need some directions for. So this is our week 3 packet, and that is going to be for April 6th through April 10th. Okay, and so the first page here, just like before, it's going to tell you some expectations for the week. It does say the word violin here at the top, and I do think that is from week 2's music work, so I'm just ignoring that for now. The back of the first page has the tools that we're using, our place value chart, which now shows ones and tens and hundreds, so place value to help you if you're working out stamp game problems or addition or subtraction. You can use that place value chart as well as the 100 chart for some patterns in our work. The next page here, and one of my cats, the big fluffy one, helped me get this off the printer, so that's why I have some wrinkles on mine. Hopefully yours is in better shape. This is the page called Comparing Numbers Up to 100. And whenever we compare numbers, that is determining is the first number greater than, less than, or equal to the second number. And so we did some of this work last week. So again, looking at number 1 here, it says 26 is 46. Okay, and so in this little space here, we'll be putting either the symbol for greater than, making the sentence 26 is greater than 46, less than, 26 is less than 46, or equal to, 26 is equal to 46. And so we're going to put the symbol in that makes that a true sentence. Now, if I said 26 is equal to 46, is that true? If I have 26 candies and you have 46 candies, do we have the same amount? Definitely not. So it cannot be equal to. When I'm looking at my place value, I'm always going to look at the largest place first. So if you notice, these have the same number of units, 6 units in each. But I know that doesn't make them equal because I'm comparing the tens place. 4 tens and 2 tens. Now, I'm going to ask myself, is 2 tens greater than 4 tens or less than 4 tens? I'm going to look there first. 2 tens is definitely less than 4 tens. So I'm going to make my less than symbol. And remember, I'll draw it up here a little bit bigger maybe so we can see it. To make a less than symbol, I think of a capital L for less than, and then I squish it on its side to make my less than symbol. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking. My less than symbol looks like a capital print L that's squished down to make the less than symbol. Okay, so I'm definitely going to say 26. See my squished L. 26 is less than 46. Oh yeah, definitely. Just want to make sure that there aren't any crazy surprises on this page, but I think they are all about the same. So choosing greater than, less than, or equal to. There's your 3 symbols right there, and they go in that order in case you're having any trouble remembering. Greater than, less than, equal to. And you're going to complete the rest of that paper the same way, comparing those numbers up to 100. On the back of that page is this chart here, which looks kind of familiar to us, but it's got a little bit of a challenge. Second graders, you guys have done the 100 chart a bunch. You've practiced different ways to skip count by 2, and so this one's going to give us a little bit of a challenge. Let's read the title. Skip counting backwards by 2s. Skip counting backwards by 2s. Oh my goodness. And count by -2. Okay, so we're going to count backwards. Remember, anytime we're counting backwards, we're taking off. This time it's 2. From 137 to 11. What? Wow, that really is a challenge work. I'm so excited to get to do this. Now, the first thing I have to think about is if I'm taking off 2, okay, right now, 2 is going to be is in my units place. Units or ones, it's in the ones place. So that's the only thing that's going to change right now. So 137, I'm going to count backwards and change my units place. So the number before this would be 136 because 6 is before 7. And then the one before that, because remember I have to do 2. 136, 135. 135 is going to be 2 backwards from 137. And I can show that 137, 136, 135. I'm taking 2 little hops, counting backwards, 135. And then they did such a nice thing for us. They put a few numbers in here so we know if we're on track. Let's count 2 backwards from 135. It will help me to know if I'm on track or not if I get this number, okay? Because the numbers that they put in there are the right numbers. 135, 134, 133. Oh, I took 2 hops and I landed on 133. So I think that means that I'm on the right track. Let's take 2 more hops. Ready? 100. I'm going backwards from 133. So I'm just going to take it off of the ones place. Ready? My 100 and my 30 are going to stay the same right now. 132, 131. Oh, nice. 131. Now, here's where you get into a little bit of a tricky space because there's only 1 unit left, but I need to take off 2 units. But if I think to myself, counting backwards from 31, I'm going to go to 30, and then I'm going to be in the 20s. 29. So let's see if that works. 131. 1 hop goes to 130. 129. There I am. I have that checker to know that I'm on the right track. Okay, so fill out the rest of this chart. We're just skip counting. We're jumping 2 jumps into the next block. Okay, 2 jumps backwards into the next block. Our number's always getting smaller because subtracting or counting backwards makes our number smaller. So it's going to get smaller, 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 all the way down here to number 11. I bet after you finish the first couple rows, we might see a few patterns. Now, that doesn't mean, I don't think we can, because look, here's a 137, and here's an 87, and then back to a 57. I don't think it's going to be like our 100 chart where we can just fill in down. We're going to have to keep skip counting backwards for a while, but I bet we'll still notice some patterns in our numbers as we finish this. So I'll be interested to know. You can send me a message if you discover some of those patterns in your skip counting backwards by 2s chart. Here is our geometry work for this week, our grade 2 geometry worksheet. Miss Camille loves geometry. I think these are pretty fun. So we'll go ahead and read these directions to you. It says color all the rectangles red, all the pentagons blue. Ooh, we were working on polygons before we left, so hopefully you remember what's a penta. Pentagon. And all the hexagons green. Now, there's only 3 choices here. Rectangles have how many sides? Hope you remember this one. 4 sides. And I remember that there's a hint in hexagon has an X in that word. And that was a hint for us to remember how many sides a hexagon has. So hopefully, knowing that rectangles have 4 and the hexagons have 6, you'll be able to figure out how many sides a pentagon has. It does say there's colors here. Color the rectangles red, pentagons blue, and the hexagons green. If you have a red, blue, and green crayons, pencils, markers, I would say maybe not markers if you can help it because they bleed through. You probably have an assignment on the back of that page. So use markers at your own. I would caution you about using markers, but pencils and crayons would be great, and markers if that's all you have. If you do not have any colors, that's okay too, because the words are written right here. Rectangles, red. So I could look at my very first one, find out that it's a rectangle, and I can label it. If you do not have colors, go ahead and label it. And you can label it in 2 ways. I labeled this one in 2 different ways. I just wrote that it's a rectangle. I can label my shapes as what they are, or you can do both. I also just wrote R-E-D, rectangles, red. This is a rectangle. I labeled it because I didn't have any colors on me. So that is an option for you if you are working without colored pencils or crayons where you are. Okay, this says ELA and Science, read the passage and answer the question. So this is kind of interesting. This week we have a reading passage. It's supposed to look at your reading comprehension, which means we always want to read carefully and read multiple times so we're understanding the passage that we're reading. But also it deals with a scientific topic. So we're kind of getting some knowledge about this week's science as well as practicing our reading comprehension. So that's pretty nice. I'm going to go ahead and read to you so you have some options. You can pause the video right this minute and read to yourself first and then play and read along with Miss Camille, or you can read along with me first so that you're identifying some of those words that might be unfamiliar, and then pause and go back and read to yourself again. Remember, anytime we're working with reading comprehension, we want to read more than once so we make sure we get all the details. When I start reading, I'm going to start from the title right here, push and pull. So if you get your tracking finger out, and when you are ready, I'm going to start. Push and pull. When an object is not moving, it is at rest. It will stay that way unless something makes it move. The power that makes other things move is called a force. A force can be a push or a pull. It changes the object's position. When a force moves an object away from it, that is called a push. When a force moves an object toward it, that is called a pull. You can use pushes and pulls to move objects. A soccer player sees the ball coming towards him. He can use a push to make it go where he wants it to go. In this case, the push is a kick. A little girl wants to give her stuffed animals a ride in her little red wagon. She uses a pull to make the wagon move along after her. Every push and pull takes energy. The amount of energy and strength you need to move an object depends on how big the object is. Large objects need a large force to move them. Small objects only need a small force to move them. Hopefully you were making some pictures in your mind while we read, or while you were reading to yourself. We did a lot of work. If you think about last year when we were working on simple machines, and we used some things like pulleys and levers and ramps to help us do the work, to help increase our force or decrease the force that we needed to move our objects around. So we actually did a lot of work already. Some of these things are familiar to you. This is talking about doing it just on our own, directly pushing or pulling some objects to make them move. So after you've read, maybe you've read a couple of times, we're going to come down here to our questions. Number 1, when an object is at rest, how will it begin to move? Directly, number 1, taken from the very first paragraph where it talks about when an object is not moving, it is at rest, and it will stay that way unless. Okay, so go back, listen to my reading if you need to, or read for yourself in that very first paragraph, find some evidence for number 1. Number 2, what are the 2 kinds of force called? This was the main idea of the whole paragraph, so and it's kind of in the title, so try to make that into a whole sentence. The 2 kinds of force are called and okay, when you're answering number 2. Number 3, what is it called when a force makes an object move closer, and I'm going to put a little hint in there, it's closer to me. If I am using a force to make an object move closer to me, which kind of force am I using? Number 4, to make the object move away. Think about the soccer and the soccer ball. Number 5, how does an object size make a difference in push or pull? Now we're asking about object size, and I remember talking about large objects and small objects in that very last paragraph right near the end of that work. So look back to that last paragraph for the answer to number 5. Just like in past weeks, the very top of this paper has some carryover from your ELA work, but it's a nice way to find out what they are hoping, what the goal is for this reading, which is that you'll be able to ask and answer some questions such as who, what, when, where, why, and how to demonstrate understanding of the key details in the text. So that's saying to me that you can read a text, figure out the details, and be able to answer questions about it, which is a good skill to have as we read. And then here's for you to ask yourself, how did you do on this assignment? Did you do your very best? You feel great about it? Eh. Or, oh gosh, next time I'm going to do a lot better. So there are some choices for that. At the end of that, though, on this same page, is your fine arts section. So visual art, again, if you are looking at this packet online, there is a clickable link, but underneath there are some directions. So I'll read those fine arts directions to you. And this actually is a very exciting project this week. I really like it. Using paper, pencils, crayons, or markers, find shapes to trace around your house. Coasters, jars, boxes, shells, toys, etc. Anything you want, anything that you can physically carry, put on a piece of paper and trace it is fair game. Combine the traced shapes to make a robot. This can be a drawing, So maybe you arrange and trace your objects all on the same piece of paper so that you're just using the drawing, the traced shapes to make a robot. Or a collage of cut paper shapes. So maybe you trace a coffee mug and you trace it 3 times. You want to use some for the head and 2 ginormous ears on your robot. You trace it 3 times. You can cut out those 3 circles and glue them onto a separate piece of paper to create a robot. Learning outcomes, again, this is what we hope, that students will create, name, and utilize basic shapes to create a unique robot. Students will explain the artistic choices and robot characteristics. So that's, you want to take some thinking, some time to think about how you're putting your shapes together. Task, create your shape robot by tracing the shapes of objects around your house. You may cut out the shapes and glue them to a separate piece of paper to create a robot. You may also trace your shapes just on one piece of paper and arrange the shapes particularly to become a robot. How do I know if my work is good? Did you use a variety of shapes? Are they geometric or organic? Okay, so geometric are things like squares, rectangles, pentagons, hexagons, like we were talking about earlier. Organic shapes have some more curves. If you traced a seashell, that would be a very organic shape, or a stick from outside. Can you name some of your shapes? Does your robot have detail? So after you finish your picture and you're looking at it, ask yourself these questions. If you say no to any of them, go back to it, add a little more detail, or add some different kinds of shapes in there. If you say yes and you're happy with it, then you did a great job. At the very bottom, so I hope you have fun actually creating your robots. I'm kind of really excited. If you want to, or if you're able to take a picture and send me a picture in Schoology through a message or post it on the board, I would really like to see your robots, because I think that's a really fun project. Okay. At the very bottom of your assignment here is general music directions. The student should create 2 questions that he or she, that's you, can ask a family member. Those questions should be in full sentence format and written in the spaces provided below. Now on that sheet I just showed you, there's nothing below because it is on the back. Okay, there's a chart set up with question and answer. The student should choose a person to ask and document the answers in full sentence format in the space provided. Then the student should practice each question and answer like a rap song and chant them over and over again to show that it is in rhythm. Okay? Finally, the student should clap the rhythm of the words as a rhythmic pattern without speaking the words. At that point, the student has created his or her own rhythmic phrase. Okay? So, if you look here, the question was, what is your favorite color? Whole sentence. Answer, my favorite color is red. Now make sure, again, you need a whole sentence or this doesn't really work. They can't just say red. I mean, I guess they could, but then your whole rhythm would be like this. Red, right? So what they're looking for is a longer sentence. What is your favorite? What is your favorite color? There, it's not totally exactly lined up here. You can see that color has 2 beats in it, and that should be over that a little bit, okay? So you're gonna clap out the rhythm. What is your favorite color? Got a little rhythm. My favorite color is red. And you can put some rests in there, however you want to get yourself a good rhythm. Practice it, clap it, think the question, think the answer, and then until you can clap it out without saying any of the words. Oh, there was one. That was one rhythm. So hopefully you guys have 2 questions and 2 answers to practice making a rhythm. And it's kind of interesting actually because April is National Poetry Month, and one of the things that really defines poetry is that it has a rhythm. It's words, but the words are arranged in a certain rhythm. So as you guys are making wonderful songs, rap songs, chants, however you're thinking of that, at the same time you are making poetry. So it's kind of interesting and great to do in April since it is National Poetry Month. All right, guys, that's it for this week. I hope that you are doing good work and staying healthy, and I miss you a ton. Can't wait to see you soon. Bye.